We're at a crossroads. No kids, different religions, and potential manipulation. I, 35F, recently decided I don't want children, a major shift since my partner, 30M, does. We've been together for 3 years, and while our connection and intimacy are great, I'm seeing red flags. He's avoiding the religion talk, even though I'd eventually have to convert for marriage, saying we aren't at that stage yet. He's also started making subtle manipulative comments, like telling me I won't find anyone like him on apps and promising compromises on lifestyle, things he never cared about before. Lately, his actions don't match his perfect partner claims. He worked through New Year's Eve despite knowing I value it, and he didn't get me a birthday gift this year, a sharp decline from previous years. I feel like I'm receiving empty promises of compromise while the core issues, kids and religion, remain unresolved. Is it possible to stay together when our fundamental life paths are moving in opposite directions? Has anyone seen a relationship work when one person gives up the dream of children, or is resentment inevitable? I feel like he's trying to keep me anchored while avoiding the difficult truths of our future. TLDR, I, 35F, don't want kids, but my partner, 30M, does. He's avoiding talks about religion, making "you'll never find someone better" comments and neglecting celebrations. Is this subtle manipulation, or can we actually bridge these gaps? The wedding alarm, anxiety versus intuition. I, 27F, am 6 weeks away from marrying my fiancé, 27M, and I am terrified. After moving back from a great career in London to be with him, I'm realizing our relationship is far from stable. He is incredibly loyal and loving when things are good, but he crashes out emotionally almost every week due to past trauma. He lacks emotional control, saying hurtful things when sad, only to apologize profusely later. I value marriage and working through things, but the wedding planning has surfaced deep issues. His relationship with his overbearing mother is too close, and she feels comfortable insulting my parents in private. He promises a calm life, but I've been crying every week. Am I just absorbing the stress of the move and the wedding, or is the universe screaming at me to get out before the cards I've sent out become a permanent mistake? How do I distinguish between wedding jitters and the realization that I am marrying into instability? Is loyalty and chivalry enough to sustain a marriage where I don't feel emotionally safe or respected by his family? I feel like I deserve more, but I've already sacrificed so much to be here. TLDR, 6 weeks before my wedding, I, 27F, feel numb and conflicted. My fiancé, 27M, is loyal but emotionally unstable, crashing out weekly. His mother is overbearing and disrespectful. I quit my London career for this, but now I'm wondering if I'm ignoring a massive gut warning. My wife's contamination OCD is controlling our home, and I can't enable it anymore. Since COVID, my wife's 40F contamination OCD has escalated to an unbearable level. We live under strict rules, Lysol ing every touch point, wiping phones constantly, and barring outside clothes from beds. When guests visit, the entire house is scrubbed for hours after they leave. Even when I try to help with chores, like moving clean laundry, she rewashes everything because I contaminated it. I, 39M, am exhausted. My wife refuses therapy and gaslights me when I confront her about her rituals. I'm deeply worried about our 2-year-old daughter growing up in this environment of fear and restriction. I've started trying to stop enabling her, but she finds ways around it or denies her actions even when the room smells like bleach. How do I support her without feeding the disorder? Is it time to involve her family to stage an intervention? I don't want to lose my marriage, but I cannot let my daughter inherit this cycle of compulsion. What are the practical steps to handle a partner who refuses to admit they need help while the house is literally being bleached away? TLDR, my wife, 40F, has severe contamination OCD and refuses therapy. Her rituals are damaging our home life, and I'm terrified for our 2-year-old daughter. I, 39M, need to know how to stop enabling her without destroying the marriage. Is involving her family a valid next step? My wife, 30F confessed she almost cheated, then changed the story to assault. 3 months ago, my wife broke down crying and told me she almost cheated on me with a guy from church. She said they got romantic at his apartment, and she only stopped him right before penetration. I was devastated, but wanted to report it as assault. She refused, citing shame at church. 2 weeks later, I found texts. They had plans to meet again. He told her he wouldn't touch or kiss her so she wouldn't get angry like last time, and she didn't set any boundaries. She actually apologized for not seeing him. Now, she has changed her story completely. She tells everyone she was assaulted and claims she never told me she almost cheated. She is using my struggle with memory to make me feel like a bad man for wanting a divorce instead of fighting for her. I feel numb. I don't talk to her for hours like I used to. I just come home and sleep. I tried to move on and met someone else, but they left when they heard about my messy divorce situation. I'm confused, guilt-tripped by family, and I don't know what to believe anymore. Is this a case of genuine assault, or is she rewriting history because she got caught continuing the connection? TLDR, my wife confessed to almost cheating, but after I found texts showing she was still in contact with the guy, she changed her story to assault. Now she's making me look like the villain for wanting a divorce. How do I trust my own mind and move forward? My mom, 47F, cut off my teenage siblings because they kept my dad's secret. My dad, 45M, has been cheating on my mom, and he manipulated my little brothers, 16M and 13M, into keeping it a secret. They knew he had a close female friend, but didn't realize the full extent of the affair. Now that my mom found out, she's beyond furious. She called my brothers liars and cowards to their faces and told them she wants nothing to do with them. I'm angry at my brothers too, but they're just kids. My dad put them in an impossible position, forcing them to choose between their parents and scaring them into thinking they'd blow up the family if they spoke. My mom, in her pride and pain, is punishing children for a situation my dad created and manipulated. How can I help fix this? My brothers are heartbroken and traumatized by her words, and my mom is too stubborn to see that she's misplacing her rage. My dad is the one who should be shunned for using his own children as shields. How do I advocate for my brothers without making my mom feel like I'm taking my dad's side? TLDR, my dad, 45M, forced my teenage brothers to hide his cheating. My mom, 47F, found out and has disowned them, calling them cowards. I, 22F, need advice on how to protect my brothers from my mom's displaced anger while holding my dad accountable for his manipulation. My GF of 8 years cheated, lied for months, and now we're supposed to emigrate in 30 days. I, 27M, caught my girlfriend, 26F, flirting with a coworker 3 months ago. She lied and denied everything until I found proof. Even while I was begging her to work on us and sharing my trauma, she went to her office Christmas party and turned the emotional affair into a physical one. She continued to tell me she loved me and wanted a future while hiding the truth. She only came clean because I pressed her hard, not out of guilt. Now, she says she wants to work on herself, but she didn't do it when I was literally begging for my life. To make matters worse, we are scheduled to emigrate together in just 1 month. Is there any point in forgiving someone who saw me broken and chose to betray me again? How can I move to another country and depend on someone who has proven they can look me in the eye and lie for months? I feel beyond hurt and lost. What do I do about our emigration plans and this 8-year relationship that feels like a lie? TLDR, my GF of 8 years cheated and lied repeatedly. She escalated the affair while I was mourning the relationship. We are supposed to move abroad in a month. Can this be forgiven, or am I walking into a trap? My GF is secretly disciplining my autistic son while I'm away. I, 53M, have been with my girlfriend, 48F, for a year. My autistic son, 23M, used to love her, but lately, he's terrified to be alone with her. Every time I leave them together, I return to find him distressed, hands over his ears, and her furious over some minor infraction. She has started grounding him without my permission, confiscating his phone and iPad, locking his toys away, and forcing him to sit on the couch for hours while she leaves the house. She does this behind my back and gets defensive when I confront her, claiming I baby him and that he's manipulative. Now my son is begging to stay at the library for 8 hours or come to work with me just to avoid her. I need to protect my son, but she refuses to stop trying to parent him. Is there any way to save this relationship, or is her lack of empathy for his neurodivergence a fundamental deal breaker? How do I handle a partner who becomes a different, mean person the second I turn my back on my child? TLDR, my girlfriend, 48F, is mistreating my autistic son, 23M, when I'm not around, including illegal-level punishments like seizing his communication devices. He's now afraid to be home with her. How can I keep my son safe while she refuses to respect my boundaries? My GF, 21F, wants a break to be alone, but is traveling to meet another guy. I, 24M, have a serious heart condition, and my girlfriend of 3 years has been my support through surgeries and recovery. Recently, she's been struggling with mental health and says she needs alone time and a break because she can't take care of herself while being with me. She also claims she wants less screen time to be with family. The problem? She spends more time calling a mutual online friend than talking to me, a guy who has been a source of arguments before. When I proposed meeting in person to fix things, she told me she wasn't free because she is traveling to meet this same guy as friends. She says she still loves me and doesn't want to break up, but her actions are completely inconsistent with her need for space. I feel she might be staying with me out of guilt due to my health. I told her that if we break up, I need to cut contact to protect my emotions, but she got angry, insisting we stay friends. How do I handle a partner who asks for a break to be alone, but prioritizes another man's company? Am I being selfish for wanting clear boundaries to protect my heart, literally and figuratively? TLDR, my GF, 21F, wants a break from our relationship to be alone, yet she's traveling to visit another male friend instead of seeing me, 24M. I have a fragile heart condition and feel she's keeping me as a backup out of pity. Should I push for a resolution or walk away? My friends refuse to hang out with my husband, 38M, and it's a wake-up call. I, 32F, recently learned that my best friend's husband and her entire social circle no longer want to be around my husband. They were blunt. They find his behavior uncomfortable. They've seen him talk badly about them behind their backs, and they feel sorry for me. Specifically, they pointed out how he publicly shuts me down and refuses to engage in small things that make me happy, like playing a game. What's worse is that my friend has noticed him talking over me and dismissing me for years. At home, it's his way or the highway, and I've spent 9 years normalizing his rigidity. I'm in therapy, and even my therapist agrees that these are major red flags I've been conditioned to ignore. Now, I'm terrified to bring this up because he usually gets defensive or tries to isolate me from friends who criticize him. How do I handle the fact that my normal is actually seen as borderline abusive or deeply disrespectful by everyone else? We are in couples counseling, but is it possible to fix a 9-year dynamic where he doesn't even see my friends as worth his respect? I love him, but I'm tired of doubting my own judgment while the people who love me are watching me drown in this relationship. TLDR, my best friend admitted her circle avoids my husband because of how he treats me and others. I've realized I've been normalizing his controlling behavior for 9 years. I'm in therapy, but I fear his defensiveness if I tell him the truth. How do I navigate a marriage where my partner is the person my friends need protection from? My fiancé's millionaire dad says a prenup is stupid. I disagree. My fiancé, 28F, and I, 29M, are marrying this year. I want a prenup to protect us both. I have a $300,000 trust fund, and she owns a $450,000 house. While I'm the primary earner, $100,000, her father frequently gives her large cash gifts and plans to subsidize our move for her master's degree. Despite being a multimillionaire, her father told her prenups are stupid unless you have billions. My mother, however, fully supports it. I see it as an insurance policy we hope never to use, especially since our assets are significant and premarital. With her facing a $40,000 pay cut soon, a prenup actually clarifies our financial expectations and protects her house as much as my trust. How do I restart this conversation with my fiancé without making it look like I'm challenging her father's wisdom? Is it common for older generations to look down on prenups, or is this a cultural gap? How can I explain that $750,000 in combined assets is plenty of reason to have a legal safety net in 2026? TLDR, I, 29M, want a prenup to protect my $300,000 trust and my fiancé's, 28F, $450,000 house. Her millionaire father says it's stupid for anyone with less than billions. How do I proceed without causing a rift with her family while securing our financial future? My ex, 19M, flirts with me but insists we're just friends while I, 17F, wait for him. My LDR ex broke up with me 7 months ago but keeps flirting, giving me hope we might get back together. When I gave him an ultimatum, he agreed we'd try again after working on ourselves. However, after I sent him a deeply personal care package with paintings and letters, he called me a great friend and told me to keep boundaries. He admitted he flirts because he forgets, I'll take it literally, yet says he still hopes to see us together eventually. Only to backtrack again, saying we are incompatible and he wants to be single. He's now asked for space to figure out his life. I've done so much for him, including free art for his Twitch streams, and I'm struggling to move on because I still want a future with him. How do I move on without cutting contact when being just friends feels like a lie? Is there any hope for us, or am I just being used for emotional support and free labor while he figures himself out? I feel frustrated, exhausted, and stuck waiting for someone who refuses to choose me. TLDR, my ex, 19M, keeps me, 17F, on a hook by flirting and promising a future, maybe, then cold shouldering me as just a friend. He's asked for space, and I don't know how to stop waiting for him without losing him completely. My BF's girl best friend is actually his ex, and I feel betrayed. I, 29F, have been dating my boyfriend, 32M, for 6 months. He's been the healthiest partner I've ever had, but I just found out he's been lying by omission. His girl best friend, whom he spends significant alone time with, is actually an ex-girlfriend from 2.5 years ago. I've been cheated on before, so I made a huge effort to trust their friendship. I even spent time with her and her parents, thinking she was just a supportive friend. When I finally asked if anything had ever happened between them, he admitted they dated. He claims he didn't tell me because he was scared of my reaction, but now I feel like I've been living a lie for 6 months. He's begging for forgiveness, insisting I'm the one who matters. But I feel foolish. He chose to protect his friendship with her over being honest with me. I don't know if I can ever look at them hanging out together without feeling sick. Can a relationship recover from this kind of secret, or is the trust permanently broken? TLDR, my boyfriend, 32M, hid the fact that his female best friend is his ex. I, 29F, trusted them completely and even befriended her. Now that the truth is out, I feel betrayed and stupid. He says it was only for a month, but the lie lasted 6. Should I stay or walk away? I've been married 6 years and I sleep on a mattress on the floor. I, 33M, am feeling like a stranger in my own home. My wife, 33F, insists on sleeping in the same bed with our 2 kids, 5Y and 18MO, leaving me to sleep on a mattress on the floor next to them. I've bought a new bedroom set for us and decorated a beautiful room for the kids, which my 5-year-old is actually happy to use, but my wife refuses to move. Whenever I try to discuss it, she shuts down or takes the kids to sleep in their room, further excluding me. This has decimated our marriage. Intimacy is rare, rushed, and lacks any emotional closeness. I feel like a roommate or a guest rather than a husband. I love my children and don't want to disrupt their security, but I feel our marriage is disappearing. How do I make my wife understand that our relationship needs its own space to survive? Is this about the kids' comfort, or is she using them as a shield to avoid intimacy with me? I'm lonely, frustrated, and tired of being a secondary priority in my own house. How can we transition to a healthy family dynamic without causing a conflict that hurts the children? TLDR, my wife, 33F, co-sleeps with our kids, forcing me, 33M, to sleep on the floor. She refuses to transition the kids to their own room, and our intimacy has almost vanished. I feel disconnected and lonely. How do I reclaim my place as a husband without compromising my kids' emotional well-being? Is snoring a valid reason to break up after 3 years? I, 30M, work in healthcare and sleep is vital for my sanity. My partner's, 32F, snoring is ruining my life. We've tried everything: earplugs, white noise, nasal strips, and even a sleep apnea test, negative. A mouth guard worked, but she refuses to wear it consistently because it hurts her jaw. We live in a high cost of living area and only have a 1-bedroom apartment, so separate rooms are not an option. While she is generally caring, she occasionally gets upset and tells me I'm overreacting, which feels incredibly invalidating when I'm suffering from chronic sleep deprivation. I love her, but I am losing my mind. If she won't commit to the only solution that worked, the mouth guard, and we can't afford a 2-bedroom, I don't see how we can survive as a couple. Is it extreme to end a 3-year relationship over snoring, or is my health more important than staying in a situation where I literally can't rest? TLDR, my partner's snoring is making me, 30M, miserable. We've tried all remedies, but she won't use the mouth guard that actually works. With only 1 bedroom, I have nowhere to go. Am I justified in ending things to reclaim my sleep and health? Is intellectual incompatibility a deal breaker in my 3-year relationship? I, 23F, have been with my boyfriend, 25M, for over 3 years. He is smart, tech-savvy, and incredibly caring, but our intellectual interests don't overlap. I am obsessed with literature, musicology, and linguistics. He doesn't read at all and has a limited vocabulary. While we can chat about general topics, I'm starting to feel a profound sadness that I can't bond with my life partner over the things that matter most to me. Since moving in together, this absence feels sharper. I wish I were intellectually pushed and motivated by him. On top of this, we have a libido mismatch and different levels of work motivation. He was unemployed for a while I've always balanced work and study. He makes me feel safe and loved, and I wish that were enough. But I'm terrified that I'm falling out of love because I can't share my inner world with him. Is this something that can be fixed, or is it a fundamental gap that will only grow with time? How do I even bring this up without sounding like I'm judging him or asking him to change who he is? Can a relationship survive when the languages we speak are so different? TLDR, I'm 23F, struggling with intellectual incompatibility with my partner, 25M. I value deep academic discussion and books, while he is more technical and doesn't read. Combined with other mismatches, I feel lonely and worried I'm falling out of love. Is love enough when you can't connect through words? I'm losing hope. My fiancé, 28M, gave up on life after his parents' death. A year ago, my fiancé's parents died in a car crash. Since then, he has completely spiraled. He sought ego death through a dangerous mix of psychedelics and opiates alone in the mountains, and he hasn't been the same since. He's gained 80 pounds, became a nihilist, and treats therapy with cynicism, claiming he knows better. I've 26F, given him everything, my energy, my mental health, my support. But he's become a stranger. He didn't care when I lost my job. He doesn't know where I work now, and he can't even be around my parents without crying or fleeing. Our intimacy is dead, and honestly, I've started to despise his lack of effort and his physical neglect. I feel like I'm mourning a man who is still alive but refuses to exist. I love him, but I am burnout. I am not a cold-hearted person for wanting a partner who participates in life. How do you help someone who has actively burned every bridge and refused every hand held out to him? Is this still grief, or has he simply decided to stop being a person? TLDR, my fiancé, 28M, used drugs to reach ego death after his parents died and has spent 10 months in a nihilistic void. He ignores therapy, neglected me, 26F, when I lost my job, and has given up on his health. I love him, but I am mentally and emotionally exhausted. How much longer can I wait for someone who won't help himself? I'm drowning in contempt for my husband of 20 years. I, 40F, have been with my husband, 42M, for 2 decades. We have 2 young children and, on paper, a good life. He's a hardworking, loyal man, but lately, almost everything he does triggers me. His charming spending habits now feel like financial recklessness that keeps us stagnant. His assertiveness has turned into a loud, angry voice that he uses to discipline our kids, something I hate. He obsesses over vacuuming twice a day while laundry piles up, and his parenting consists of handing the kids a phone the second I'm not looking. I feel like his parent, not his wife. I'm constantly policing him, and I've reached a point where my warmth is conditional on him doing chores my way. We're in counseling, but how do I admit that his very personality exhausts me? I want to look at him with kindness again, but I'm lost in a cycle of criticism and loneliness. Am I the problem for being too controlling, or is the mental load of managing him and the kids simply too much? How do I stop seeing him as a project and start seeing him as a partner again? TLDR, after 20 years, I, 40F, find my husband's 42M habits, from his loud voice to his financial impulsivity, completely triggering. I feel like his parent, and I'm struggling with growing contempt. How do I move past the policing and find love for him again when everything he does annoys me? I'm a doctor, 28F, dating a 30M who still lives at home and has no financial stability. I work 60 hours a week, and while my boyfriend, 30M, is emotionally supportive, his financial irresponsibility is draining me. He lives with his mother, has existing debts from unpaid rent, and frequently fails to complete his professional training. He even missed a final exam just to go on holiday with me and didn't tell me until later. When he stays at my apartment 5 days a week, he refuses to contribute to utilities because it's not our apartment. I've had to lend him over $1,000, and he didn't even get me a birthday gift because he spent his money on a trip. I even ended up booking his dentist appointments because he wouldn't handle his own health. My libido has dropped because I feel more like a provider/mother than a partner. How do I set healthy financial boundaries when our stability is so unequal? Is it reasonable to demand a contribution for stayovers? At what point does a partner's lack of initiative become a permanent emotional drain? I love him, but I'm tired of being the only adult in the room. TLDR, I, 28F, doctor, am struggling with my boyfriend's, 30M, financial instability and lack of accountability. He has debts, fails his studies, and refuses to contribute to shared expenses. I feel more like his parent than his girlfriend. How do I set boundaries without ending the relationship? I'm 18F, trapped in a 9-month LDR because I'm scared he'll hurt himself if I leave. I've been in a long-distance relationship with a guy, 17M. I met on Discord for 9 months. We've never met IRL. It started fast when I was at a low point and needed attention, but now I've lost all romantic feelings. I've realized I'm not built for LDRs. I need someone I can actually be with in person. The problem is his mental health. He has a very hard life and constantly tells me that he wouldn't be here without me. He has no one else, and I feel a massive pressure to stay just to keep him safe. When I tried to bring up a breakup before, he sobbed and begged until I stayed. I feel like a hostage to his emotions. How do I break up with someone who uses their life as a reason for me to stay? I don't want him to suffer, but I can't set myself on fire to keep him warm. Is it my responsibility to stay until he's better, or am I allowed to leave a relationship that no longer makes me happy? How do I end this safely for both of us? TLDR, I, 18F, lost feelings for my LDR boyfriend, 17M, but I'm terrified to leave because he's suicidal and says I'm his only reason for living. I'm burnout and feel forced to stay. How do I break this off without feeling responsible for his actions? I love my BF, but he's turned into a financial and emotional burden. I, 25F, inherited my dream apartment and loved living alone. My boyfriend, 31M, pushed me to let him move in, promising he'd travel for work. Instead, he quit his job a week later and hasn't worked in 2 years. He spends all day gaming, doesn't clean, and despite having savings, he insists I pay half for every grocery item while he lives in my home for free. I've realized I'm much happier living alone, and I want us to live separately while staying together. When I suggested a nearby apartment, he played the victim, saying he doesn't want to be alone and accusing me of being selfish. It feels like he's taking advantage of my space and my income because it's comfortable for him. How do I make him understand that living apart together, LAT, is the only way to save our relationship? Am I wrong for wanting my space back when he's shown no initiative to be a partner instead of a dependent? Is it possible to go back to separate homes after 2 years of him being a permanent guest in my life? TLDR, my boyfriend, 31M, moved into my apartment, quit his job, and hasn't worked in 2 years. He doesn't help with chores, but expects me, 25F, to split costs while he lives in my house. I want him to move out so we can live separately but stay together. He's acting hurt and refusing to leave. How do I reclaim my home without ending the relationship? 7 years, no ring, and footing the bills. Should I move out? I, 29F, have been with my boyfriend, 31M, for 7 years. At year 4, he promised to propose within 12 months, but it never happened. We moved in together last year with the understanding that we'd be engaged within the year, but that deadline is now passing. While he is a caring partner who does chores and drives me to work, his finances are a disaster. Between a high-interest car loan and poor credit, I've been covering most utilities and groceries for months. He recently confessed he has a ring picked out but can't afford the payments. While I believe he's the love of my life, my self-esteem is crumbling. I'm considering moving out, not to break up, but to honor my original boundary regarding living together without a commitment. I don't want it to feel like an ultimatum, but I'm tired of waiting for a future that is constantly delayed by financial misfortunes. Am I being unreasonable for wanting to move out to protect my own peace? How do I distinguish between a partner who is unlucky and one who is simply unready to prioritize our marriage over a specific, expensive ring? Can a relationship survive moving back to separate homes after 7 years? TLDR, after 7 years and broken promises, my boyfriend, 31M, hasn't proposed due to financial instability, despite me, 29F, supporting him lately. I want to move out to regain my self-respect, but I don't want it to be a threat. Is it time to stop waiting?